Welcome back, everyone, to the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite. We just finished our semi-finals competition, and now it is time for the top 100 players to duke it out in the grand finals, where they're going to be fighting for their share of the $250,000 prize pool. I'm going to be your host for tonight. Hello, Kelly Link, and joining me, we have two new casters, although they're not that new. You guys know them. It's Balla TW and Shio Wager, and we're taking a quick look at some of the highlights that we got to see during the semifinals that literally just finished an hour ago. So I'm really excited to see how these players' endurance hold up by competing in both the semifinals and the grand finals in one day. Balla TW, Shio Wager, it's good to have you guys here. Balla, what did you think of the semifinals?
They were pretty crazy. They were definitely intense, and there were some heartbreaks, there were some close calls, and some big names that didn't make it through. But what we do have is a whole slate of 100 players ready to take the top prize in the grand finals.
But I do want to talk about some of those big names that didn't make it through. Shio, what's the most surprising name you think that we're not going to see here in the grand finals?
I think Arcrum might be that big surprising name that everyone's used to seeing, unless he big won his last game. I got to get in tune with the leaderboards myself, but that's a big one.
Yeah, I think Arcrum didn't make it, as well as Reet, and there was a few other players that we've definitely seen pretty consistently in the top 20, if not at least making it into the grand finals, that are not going to be here today. But some of the names that we've actually seen in both July's grand finals and now August's grand finals, we have 40R Storm, Acorn, Bamboozle, Bucky, Wavy, Justice, a bunch of names that you guys know and love. But just to remind you all where exactly our players did end up in the top 20 during our semifinals, let's pull up the top 20 that we have right now for our leaderboard to see where exactly they are going to be stacking out. And of course, there isn't any seeding like that. So even though Outcast Tricks did place first in the semifinals, that's not exactly going to impact his play style going into the grand finals. But Balla, something we always talk about, mentality. What is it like for Tricks, who's now in first place in the semifinals, going into the grand finals?
I don't know. It might be all his gas. Who knows? You're talking about mentality. It's going to be so important for these guys to keep cool. And one person that we know for sure will do that is Epic Whale. But looking back, even third place is where I got my eyes out, because Frappi was second place in the last DreamHack, and he was the only one who had a chance of really stopping Arkham last time. So now that we're back in grand finals, I think it might be him again.
Yeah, Shio, talk to me a little bit about some of the names that we're seeing here, and maybe some other names that made it to the top 100 that we're not seeing.
I'm looking at 6th and 7th back-to-back NA East players, Kaz and Assault. Now, these guys are, of course, playing into the wee hours of the night, but they're playing with momentum, and they're both momentum-based players. Kaz is kind of iffy, but when he's online, and he does not stop. We saw it in every end game we caught him in, and that was almost every single one for the semifinals that we were watching. And Assault is no stranger to just straight up taking competitions with elite players, no pun intended, because he won the first ever Elite Cup, which had a few of these best players we see today.
Well, speaking of elite players, some of the other players that are more towards the bottom of the top 100, we're going to be seeing Justice. We're going to be seeing Bamboozle, Daddy D Faves, Aiden, and then I think there was another name here that I wanted to talk a little bit about the bottom. Oh, no, never mind. Just kidding. It's Batman Booga, which I highly doubt is the real Booga. But looking at a little bit of the drawing boards that we're going to be seeing here, let's pull up right now while we can. Balla, Shio, I'm going to let Balla take it away for right now. Where is some of the POI that we're going to be seeing tonight?
I'm going to let Shio go take this one right off the bat, because I was already signaling to him. You got some plans.
I got some plans. Let's talk about it. I mean, the big thing everyone's kind of been looking over is Caddy Corner. Doesn't matter what patch we're on, as long as this POI is in the game with that Shockwave launcher, it's the talk of the town. That being said, one place I want to give everyone's attention to is actually Pleasant Park, which I feel like is a very interesting off-spawn fight. A lot of these top players placing in the top 10 are somewhat going through here if they're on any part of this north side of the map, rotating through, maybe picking up a few chests or a few Storm Surge tags. And I feel like there's a lot of players that end up dropping here and don't actually know how to play this POI properly.
And it could be a switch, because we haven't really seen a lot of players in solos this season come out of that north side of the map. I want to point down, though, at the bottom here, because like we said, Arcrum is not here, so Rickety Rig is gone. I mean, not contested, at least by the best of the best. So we'll have to see. That's going to be an opportunity for a lot of people to jump on. And then Slurpy Swamps too. that is a spot that just recently came back, and we've seen a lot of success out of it in all the regions, most notably Benji Fishy out of EU, but there were some other top placers in the FNCS solo. So since last DreamHack, that's another big one too.
Yeah, that's basically all the spots I wanted to talk about on the map. You can't forget about Authority. You can't forget about Misty Meadows, both just producing champions from many different regions. But so far, the game really hasn't changed in Chapter 2, Season 3. Everyone's getting their solo game down, and everyone kind of knows where their drop spots are now and the biggest threats around them.
My last thing is the importance of dead side rotates. Arkram won many times by coming around the side of the maps on any sort of different zone, basically trying to achieve that every game. And just for a reasoning, that gets you a spot in these grand finals where there's not going to be many people, so you could rotate a little bit more freely. But with the advent of all this land and slurpy swamps, the coast is back. That also got rid of a couple of whirlpools, and even up north, Coral Castle, the new POI, got rid of one as well. So these dead side coastal rotates might be less of an impact as we go into this grand finals.
We're jumping into the grand finals in just a moment, chat, but I do want to talk to you, Bala and Shayo, a little bit about setting the stage and where exactly our players came from. Last month in July, our players did have a day separating the semifinals from the grand finals, so they're able to relax, maybe review their VODs a little bit, and learn a little bit about maybe what they did right or wrong. But these players now barely had 30 minutes in between the semifinals and the grand finals. Shayo, how is that going to be impacting the players?
For me, I think it's business as usual. The new Fortnite we're all used to has this round 3 happen now. It's been there in the FNCS. Yes, a little bit of a change for DreamHack, but players are going to be playing the game.
Yeah,
I have a thought there.
Oh,
I have a thought there.
Okay.
Kelly, Shayo might not have looked at the leaderboard yet, but that is also a sign about all the other players too. They have no clue where anybody else is really going to be dropping. Yes, a few of them are posting on Twitter, trying to claim spots and whatnot, but that really does not make up for the 100 players that are playing there. So you might know a couple of different variations, but for the most part, everybody is going into this with no knowledge of what else is going on around the map. And I think that will have a huge impact because games 1, games 2 is going to be a feeler games, trying to figure out who is dropping near you, where are they rotating. And because we're actually reducing the amount of games too, it's going to be even more volatile.
Yeah, the tournament structure is changing up a little bit today compared to July's competitions. And if you guys are just joining us right now and you don't really know what is going on, well, that's what I'm here to tell you all about, chat. This is the DreamHack Open. Open meaning that you guys are able to enter the open qualifiers where we have 2 heats competing out, tens of thousands of players trying to be the top 750 players, which we saw yesterday. Out of those 750 groups, the 1,500 players competed today during the semifinals. They had 3 hours to get 10 games finished and try and collect as many points as they could through eliminations and placements. But now, out of those 1,500, we're looking at the top 100 who have moved on to the grand finals, where they're going to be fighting it out for their share of the $250,000 prize pool. And that's going to be happening every month. If you guys unfortunately missed the signups and you weren't able to participate today, well, one, you can participate at the end of the month, where we're going to be having North American East and Europe, where I think that's going to be August 20th and 21st for North American East and August 22nd and 23rd for the European competition. But maybe you're feeling better about the North American West competition. Well, we're going to be having that in September as well. So don't fret, chat. If you feel like you missed out, you're going to have another opportunity as well. Speaking of opportunities, these top 100 players, this is their opportunity right now. Bala, we talked a little bit about drop spots. We know exactly, or we know majority of the players that are going to be dropping in here. Do you think that some of these top players are going to be changing up their position, maybe being a bit secretive or filling in the gaps that someone like Arkram left behind?
Absolutely. I think that's the name of the game with this only half-hour break between semifinals and grand finals. I think that's huge. There's going to be some mind games posting on Twitter, then not dropping there, and maybe dropping there in the next couple of games. There's going to be all of that, which is why this is going to be so exciting.
I do want to talk a little bit about some of the names that we didn't mention earlier before. We, of course, have Avery and P-God, who I know I always see some love in chat for him, Shayo. What exactly, tell me a little bit about P-God, the player.
What is there to say that isn't already on the field in chat, right? It's the support. I feel like this man has the biggest fan club on Twitch, in every chat, no matter where he is, in a game, on broadcast, off screen. People are cheering for P-God, and there's a reason why. The man is a beast. He's really good, and he knows how to play the game.
Don't forget, he won that first qualifier for the FNCS on NA East. Here now, clutched up to make it through the semifinals. He was below 200 points going into the final 45 minutes and then made it up above 300. Something like a 150-point rise to clutch up and do that. So all his fans are excited. He's excited, and the momentum will be on his side.
I do want to talk more about those points, though. I believe it was Arkram who unfortunately didn't make it, who broke the 500-point threshold for the grand finals. Balla, are we going to see that again tonight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's happening.
Oh, wait, with
no,
six games. With six games, that might be way more difficult.
Games. But even if it was 8, I just don't think that this player pool specifically will tend to that, because it's a lot, maybe not as top heavy as the last one with Arkram, Epic Whale, Scented, Frappi, Tautai, all these guys who performed in the top 10 last time. That was top heavy, and Arkram still ran away with the field. I don't think that this time the conditions are there for a record-breaking performance.
To go back on your previous point too, it was more organized, right? People could see their drops overall. Regardless of more games, it'll be a lot more chaotic, especially for the people who have good drops that are uncontested. I feel like by game 2 and 3, everyone's just gonna get invaded all around the map.
Well, we're not talking about games 2 and 3. We're talking about game number 1 for the grand finals of the North American West region here at the DreamHack Open, everyone. It is time to jump into game number 1. Balla, Shayo, thank you for joining me here at the Open. I'll see you guys after the game.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Yes, game 1 of the NA West Grand Finals. The second time we see it at DreamHack in these online opens, and I couldn't be more excited to see what is about to unfold.
I could get so excited if I knew who was dropping where, but that will be a mystery until we find out in just a few seconds. NA West, game 1, set the stakes. You want to claim your drop. You want to own your spot. You want to make sure that no matter who's playing on your region, you are the one who's going to win out early. Confidence after that is going to be so high. Your vibes are going to be so good. It's all about staying alive.
And we didn't even talk about some of the best drop spots on the map because we were so focused on some of the new spaces. But Caddy Corner is uncertain. We don't know what's going to be happening over at Caddy. So who's going to claim that? We could already see Epic Whale back to the same old authority. And I believe Owl is the one 50-50ing him. Both of them going for it. Epic Whale gets a higher drop. And yes, quickly take it out 1. That is a good start for him.
That's a very good start for every person in this lobby, all 96 players, because Owl is that one guy in endgame. If he doesn't get an elimination, he will be affecting every single person going for that high ground. So with Owl out, with authority now a little bit under control, this game is going to be a very different one from what we're used to seeing in NA West.
And already, got to be careful. Players can be hiding on all sorts of sides. Wow. This is not the spot that you're normally used to seeing Jules, but Epic Whale has found her. And this will be a quick glider gun escape if he needs to or if he wants to. Over at Caddy Corners, though, 3 players are contesting.
Yep, and Macon is one of them. I haven't seen the exact way he plays in a grand final scenario at Caddy, but he is in a position to stay by himself, seclude everyone else around him. He kind of has a radar of henchmen if anyone gets close by. Safe kind of looting, but the one thing you kind of sacrifice when you go for spots like this is that shockwave launcher, is that charged shotgun.
And he gets it. Kit down. I spot on the other side 4DR Storm, who just got an elim on that side. Unfortunately, does all the work, but does not get the payoff. Not going to be able to grab anything here unless Macon leaves the card, which is quite possible in these situations.
But there's a choice now, right? With that card, with this loot, do you go for that vault? Do you start to just walk all the way away and come back later? Even if you do, is it going to be safe? Way next to him, kind of on the same kind of hemisphere of the map, Aiden loots what you were talking about, Balla, in that pre-show. The now new Slurpee Swamp coast, the bottom south side of the map.
And we've seen so many players do well here, not only in team modes, but solos especially, just because it's so wide open with a lot of cover, but also a lot of loot, including some agency chests. There you go, Aiden. That's a good way to start off, because guess what? That's free loot that he did not have to spend the time farming or getting at all and taking the risk to grab it. He will have to fight some Marauders, but look on the mini map in the bottom right. There is nothing else to fight him right now.
These are all just long-range battles. Sometimes you can get one player confused from another, but at Craggy Cliffs, it's wall-to-wall, ceiling-to-ceiling, box-to-box, Hoofishy versus Kabuto. And they're fighting for control, not only for these pieces, but to stay alive in game 1. Hoofishy's the one at advantage. He's going for the first shots in the box, attack shotguns, they hit.
And I like that little adjustment of the crosshair there for Who Fishy to make sure that that wall was going to get placed after he had made the floor edits. And that was really, really well done. Now wins Craggy, a spot that has been contested very much in NA West over the last couple of weeks.
There's a difference though in winning Craggy in many other spots. The story kind of never ends. There's always someone ahead of you. There's always another obstacle to climb before you can get to that mid-game spot. Macon will be kind of free. EXC in a very similar position at this yacht. He's going to be fighting Newell up here. Once again, box to box, but not all in. He chooses to just kind of disengage, get to a better position. His loadout right now is set for endgame, I would say. He just needs that ammo. Remember though, the only points you can get this early are elimination points. So he could be giving up a very easy pickup. Now both players full shield, now fully going into boxes. EXE is deleted.
For something that was so easy, right on top of him with the tac shotgun. That was so scary. For a moment, it looked like Newell was going to fall, and this is what we saw out of him last grand finals. A couple of early game fights, a couple of mid game fights, a few games where he got placement, but not much more than that. So we're gonna want to see something different out of Newell moving out of the yacht. He got stuck a few times trying to rotate south all the way at Frenzy Farms, and thankfully this time he has a first zone, so he doesn't have to rotate too far out, but Storm was the issue, keeping him down there so long. He didn't really have an idea of how to proceed.
I was about to say that Storm looked like he was basically a henchman, but it's just a disguise. He's going to be as confused as everyone else here. We remember Macon taking away the charged shotgun, taking away the vault card. Him and Crip are now going to be setting traps, just waiting for this man to come back and get all that shield. Got to remember though that Caddy is not in zone, so this fight might be a detriment. The vault's actually already open, so Storm's in there. He's getting every single shield, ammo crate, whatever he needs that Macon left over, but Crip wants that loot too.
Yeah, and what Crip doesn't know is where is Kit's loot. It could be on 40R Storm, so that's why he's kind of trying to poke and prod a little bit, because then that fight, the risk versus reward goes way up. If that one player has Caddy Launcher, Kit's Shockwave, and Kit's Charged Shotgun, so valuable. And a good reason why 40R Storm did really well last week, but he did well in those situations without it too. But I do remember distinctly the first couple of games in NA West Grands having that Kit loot.
Having the Shockwave launcher and not having it, it's different pressure. So Storm having one elimination, he'll kind of be resting easy moving into the game. He doesn't have to perform or protect an item in his inventory, right? If you have chug splashes, you have medkits and minis, you're focusing on rotations. The big thing I'm seeing though right now is his AR ammo, 34. He might not have too much of it. He needs to find a little bit more.
And he is going to use that. He might have an opportunity to find some because of this big build fight that Adity and Benji had. The NA Benji apparently trying to take that title, but also has to be careful that this fight doesn't turn on him. Thankfully, both of those players most likely don't have materials. 40R Storm can engage if he so desires. And there will be a frag. That's 40R Storms. Yes, onto Benji. And already he's going to be able to pick up some of that ammo, but also Storm Surge tag so key. That's another reason why taking this fight is of high importance to 40R Storm. Right now, though, does not want to push this too much further. That's why he drops down, gets the loot, grabs the AR ammo that was available, and he's now up to 173, fixing that entire problem that you were mentioning, Child.
Yeah, he's got the treasure he needs. Now he just needs to move away. But having two eliminations, the one thing that I've seen in West is greed. He could go for the third. He knows Adity's weak. He didn't get the siphon from this fight. That's exactly what he's doing with build. That's an easy marker in saying this player is not that confident on defense. 40R Storm with a big shot down. Adity is now on the back wall. Does he have minis to get up? Yes, he does. But 40R has a crash pad. He's bouncing in. Adity now box to box, going up, dropping down. 40R with the insane reads. I don't even think he looked up there. A crash pad though, trapped on another. Does 40R pop out of this? He does. Back in the box almost. Adity now is on the offense. 40R needs to shield up. He has the time.
Zone is coming, and so are 2 more players. This could be an NA West classic if people are not careful. One of them is Nanolite, farther away than the other that we still don't see on screen. And here's the crash pad disengage from Adity, and it's Quinn who beams him out the sky. Thankfully for 40R Storm, all of these players right here for sure know the situation. None of them will want to fight.
These are vultures just circling around the Storm graveyard. These guys are looking for any opportunity for just one shot. And if you're too slow, Quinn will pick it up. Now though, Daddy, other side of the map, same situation. The Storm, pretty close though to the safe zone. He has a lot of HP to work with. A launch pad too. He does not want to go down here.
Look at how many people are in the zone right now. Not only what we saw over at Retail Row, but down here at Lazy Lake. And there's a few of these guys that are low HP and having to stay in because of the guaranteed situation that Daddy P and everybody else on the outside of zone will put them in, which is holding him. Crypt takes another tag and Daddy P realizes that he has low HP. Gonna even take the bandages from him if he so wanted to have them. And look at this. Look how far Crypt has to be pushed. That's going to influence a lot of people. That might even influence the people over on the retail side with Legetian having to roll over to that side too.
And these guys are going to keep getting pushed. Right now, Daddy P's loadout, it's screaming that I need to fight. And Crypt is stuck now in a sandwich.
Yes, yes, yes. NA West is back. The Storm fights. Oh my goodness. It might not be the highest quality Fortnite, but boy, is it entertaining in some senses. Daddy P against Crypt against Legetian. And I think Legetian has the maybe best position, especially now that he gets completely away from the fight.
Everyone gets to breathe now. The Storm's not moving. These guys are not in their element just yet, but in 40 seconds, we're right back at it. Daddy P is now again into that box fight. You'll notice all these players are build fighting a lot, moving a lot. When push comes to shove, they're finally down on low ground in their own wooden boxes. That's not confident for Daddy P though. He doesn't want to take that fight. He wants to actually move forward, start to play to hold.
So thankfully, none of this completely broke out, and that's also something that I want to see. Shai, you've been asking for the Storm fights time and time again.
I have.
A sigh of relief for pretty much not only everybody that was involved. Daddy P still wants it though. And Crypt, if he's not careful, will get caught. Look still at the radar. Look still at the amount of players that are on the side. Crypt continues to get tagged, and Crypt will not have much left. Only 1 minute.
They're playing for Storm Surge. If you want a TLDR of it, you got to do damage or you're going to take damage. Daddy P is jumping straight in that box. Crypt, no white HP available, and Daddy P's loadout is not good for endgame. What does that mean? It equals disaster for Crypt. Daddy just has to find a way in. He needs to see if he can get a shot off in this box. The Storm is not moving though. Both these players are in a bad position.
That it is. Storm will close in a minute 20, and I'm pretty sure both of these guys are going to get caught in it. Daddy P, unfortunately, not only is he taking his game out, even though you might say he's going for Surge or whatever it might be, Crypt is done. Thankfully, he'll get the Elim for it and a Siphon. There we go. Tack shot will connect, but there's still another player looking, and there's so much distance. Sure, it might be on the slow side of zone, so we might be okay.
I might have just seen the difference maker right there for Daddy P. That, like, what, 11 fall damage might be the reason. Never mind, medkit in the way. I was gonna say it might be the reason he doesn't have enough time to get in the zone, but he has 2 different heals now. He'll get to juggle and make it back into the game with other big players like Quinn. 1 elimination of his own, a stink grenade, so he's playing kind of dirty, but I like it. One of the big items in the meta, a nice replay there. I think Adrian's getting a quick pick. As these zones close in though, these Storm fights won't be able to be had with no consequence anymore. You're not going to be able to just make it in a zone and box up. Every player will start to be closer. They'll get to see you coming in. I'm going to say making these mistakes and taking these fights.
7 players, and Surge, like you mentioned, is going to go off. Quinn will tag up Debo in 1 stink grenade. If he's not careful, oh yes, Quinn, he finds him. Debo was stuck against this mountain. Thankfully, I was going to say for rocks, he saved him with the pressure that he put down below, but then the stink bomb, only one of those will drop on those Marauder packs these days. The availability is significantly reduced in the last time. Now, though, Pizzas against Wood. One of these guys most likely needs Surge, and it's active right now. He's getting tagged hard by it, and that's why he's starting to heal off against it. And I think he might have enough time, but 3 players still need to fall, and they're probably all thinking the exact same thing.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was this much investment for this entire build, this entire fight. Wood needs to get in. None of these players can really just disengage and leave this behind. It is Pizzas' house that Wood's knocking into. Nice wall there to make sure that he doesn't get trapped completely by Wood, but I don't think Wood has any builds to fight this off with. There's a third party shooting too. Pizzas hasn't been touched at all. And wow, Wood gets smacked in the face.
And that's desperation on the other side. And a good read from Pizzas to take him out. It's a World Cup qualifier, by the way. With the 5 points that he has, he's used to these situations, used to these scenarios, but takes a fair bit of fall damage at the wrong time. Thankfully, the rest of the lobby, who's done with Surge, who does not have to deal with desperation on any sides, will start to make their way in, and we'll start to see less congestion. But we are going to see a huge congested side on the bottom right of this. There's Daddy P, by the way. He made it out of zone, surprisingly, after that storm fight, but I'm guessing he doesn't have that much more. Look at what Quinn has. You would have thought that with that impact that he got, it'd be much more, but 16 builds, now 11 only.
One curious thing I'm seeing for Quinn are these pocket items. Just one extra one or just one stink are making the difference. Maybe not in damage, but reach. There we go. A pick on the Moxie, and that's because he had one extra crash pad in the inventory to gain distance overall. Yes, he has a few more left over. Will that make a difference, though?
So curious how he was able to just get through that wall that Moni was not. I guess he just wasn't holding the backside. Did not expect Quinn to just follow up with the AR fire, but definitely uncharacteristic for Moni. A common name we see on NA West. Things continue to slow down, but Quinn has gotten his way back in the game, and with the 3 elims that he has, he's got to be one of the players in the lead right now in terms of points. But can he hold on? Because we're approaching the placement thresholds and where all the placement gets divvied out.
Approaching Bucky's house too. This end game is kind of over Frenzy Farm. I'm not sure if you guys remember Chapter 1 overall, but this POI used to be Fatal Fields. Very similar with the cornfields and whatnot. Bucky's been landing here forever. And now we're kind of in his element. He did so well in the semis. Him versus Sizlucky. Now it's just him versus the whole West region. He wants to come out on top.
Yeah, but it moves way far off of Frenzy Farm, so Bucky might have been thankful and happy in this very, very early stage of this game. And he probably saved a lot by not having to move at all, but now it will move off. And look at this side of zone. At least half of the lobby is having to make their rotate too, because it pulls far west.
He has the choice for Peppers to get big speed, but I don't think Bucky's gonna be one to waste them just yet. It's just 2 Peppers, that means 2 minutes of really fast Fortnite gameplay. Right now he can stay back, get a lot of beams if he wants to. It's not just him though. Even if he can get these free beams, he has to take into account the amount of players that are still not in zone. There's so many on this side. I would say more than 2/3 of the lobby is not safe yet, Bucky being one of them.
And the fact that he shot at Assault there actually put a traffic jam in the rest of the lobby's rotation through. You see how many people based up next to Assault. Not only is Assault looking back, but everybody else too. Essentially causing a clog. Now they will have to move. Surge notifications are out again. Bucky, who's been firing at players, is 3 below. So think about what that means for the rest of the lobby. Once 5th zone closes, and it will very fast as 4th zone, or start as 5th zone gets revealed, it's gonna start firing off, and there's 14 players. Bucky not only has to deal with this rotate, has to deal with the heal, but also has to find damage, and soon it's gonna be on Assault. Thankfully, he's back ahead, and yes, the Siphon. Can he find the loot too? There's another player, potentially, but the zone is moving, so he's not gonna have that. Gonna have to pop a Pepper with 3 HP, and a Dream maybe? Still some heals. Tatai behind him, one of the players who did well. It's a huge tag. Yes, the Siphon will come through on the storm, almost certainly. We have to hold our breath for a second.
It's a freeze frame. Just look at all the damage happening around the map. Every player, box to box, and now we press play. Degen got taken out. Avery, though, is still alive. Where's Bucky? I don't see Bucky. Is Bucky still alive? He must have gone down. Unfortunate for him, but hopefully he got that pick off. 40R Storm also gets to have something as this movie plays out, but what he does not have is zone that he must go back to.
And also near him is Macon. The caddy launcher is still in this game. They've made it through. Fifth zone will pull south, but look, this is what I was talking about. Look at the congestion. A bunch of people up on Zayt Hill and a bunch of people close to the Frenzy Farm side. And that's where 40R Storm is. That's where Quinn is. He has to move not only through this congestion in front of him, but over closer to where Nanolite is taking high ground in that fifth zone.
Oh, it's been a while since I've seen Nanolite in a grand finals performing. I mean, I've seen him at top 30, top 20. This is looking like my man is right back in his natural habitat, DreamHack. Although it's not Anaheim, comfort of your own home. I hope he wins out this game. Before that, though, we have to tune in with 40R Storm, Turtle Tavern, the top names of NA West and how they hold down the turf. Tavern is electing not to even take a shot box to box. Stay safe first. Very different to what we just saw with Bucky in the mid game. Doing this, though, he gets to basically control a big space of his own, whip out his AR, and then beam whoever he wants to. If not that, just look for information, and look how much there is. Howdy on height, Colazo still trapped somewhere low trying to make it to zone. This is the entire culmination of who has the best chance to win this game. Everyone on this left side of this big build.
A lot of big players still in this. Frat Eye was our second place. Macon with the caddy launcher, 40R Storm. We talked about him a lot. Tavern, Epic Whale, Acorn, Avery. We have Jack over from NA East. We have Furious, we have Avery. The list goes on. This will be a difficult game. And just like we saw in NA West game, one grand finals last time, one of the best and most stacked games, going down to the top 5 even. 40R Storm was one of them. He was there. So we'll see if he can repeat that situation. Furious was one of them too.
We're getting distracted though. We are getting distracted. I see sleeper agents just waiting in cones. Kaz is in zone, hasn't made a single peep this game. Midi 2, the man that we saw so much action from in the semifinals, has not gotten a single elimination yet. Yes, we saw Hoofishy survive. Yes, Howdy looks so good on high ground, but will these players be able to live once these agents come online? Newell also all the way near the back. You mentioned Furious. It's their time to make a stand.
Acorn finds one. Tavern almost finds one as well. Now they're going to use their mobility. Now they're going to go get towards that end game. And Tavern will find one on the first. Everybody in the sky right now, all these people coming off that congested side, they're going to try to land in the front. It's Howdy who takes it, and he will take it with metal and very high up. So it's going to be very hard for anybody else to fight this. He might get a free ride if everybody else tries to stay on a mid-ground layer.
Rotations left and right. Now we're in with many big shots down. Yes, it's 2. Burritos goes down, but can he get that refresh? That's the most important thing. Can he get the mats back? He doesn't need it, but it'll get him in 9 zone. No, it's stolen by Aiden. Once again, he's affecting someone else's game when he had no business to. This time, though, in the end game, when it's most important, Macon has height, and we know what he has. The shockwave launcher, the charged shotgun. This could be his game to win.
A very early take. And a lot of people gliding past him with the crash pads. 40R Storm, it's still happening. Midi at the same time down in the bottom right. The POV that we're watching picked up a lot, dropped a little too when he got that elimination. Another freeze frame for the second. He's gonna get back into good shape, good fighting chances, but now up to height. Here's the situation for Macon. Not much builds and not much HP either. And once somebody else takes height, it's not even worth launching back up in this case because he doesn't have what he needs to contest.
Where does he go, though? Lidzinio is bouncing up and around him. Turtle Tavern is at second height. Down below on low ground, Epic Will, Favs, Nano, they're controlling and trying to find a way to win. Zumba and Macon are both now fighting straight for height. We know, though, that Macon has nothing. Just 100 builds. He's now falling down. He has to find a way to get some type of siphon. This is his last breath.
And look at Epic Whale down on low. He has the glider gun, but he's sitting by himself in the front of zone. Now 8 zone, 25 people up, and there's an Elam. Yes, with the legendary AR on the casual. And Epic Whale might be activated, but he's got to win this 1v1 against Furious, a big headshot that will crack him. Maybe a chance for Epic Whale to take out one of his biggest competitors down on Ultimate Low, staring down box to box against each other. Oh, almost gets the edit, but it's not quite quick enough.
He's completely in his element, but Macon was not. Now it's Tavern and Aiden all the way on high. Oh my God, Epic Whale, you are making this look way too easy. Everyone else is having so much trouble, but he is gliding straight through this end game. 3 eliminations, he's going for his 4th. Trix is there wall to wall, the winner all the way from semis, but Epic's like, no, grand finals is my home. West is where I thrive. Box to box, there's a huge shot. Wow, Epic, no shields, but he has the attitude to take the next edit and get the next shot. He gets taken out, but what a run. Favs is the one we're watching. He can carry the torch to win this game.
Epic Whale might have the moves, but it's Avery who will have the game, at least for now. Top 8 situation now. We have Knifer on height. Still the caddy launcher in play. I believe that's owned by Knifer. D-Faves though, box to box against Avery. The player who took out Epic Whale, and he will get it. 3 elims now. We're moving into top 7 as 40R Storm picks up another.
40R Storm might be the person to watch. No, he gets taken out. Knifer has the beams. Favs is now all the way on height. He's going for a battle, and he wins. Kaj or Jack and Tavern down on low. It's 4 big names. Now 3. Oh my God, Favs. He's just exploding here on high ground. Knifer is trying to get him down, but Favs is finding a way to survive. Favs gets him box to box. He's out. 4 eliminations. A 1v1 on the west side. It's Tavern on low. It's a drop down. Favs with a tactical shotgun, a mindset, a dream becoming reality, a first game win.
What is that from Favs? So much to break down in that one, and we'll have to do it after a break because there was so many good moments.
The night, gonna shine the light. We're gonna be so bright, gonna feel it tonight. Leave all your worries and your troubles and your tears behind. Oh, take all that negativity, erase it from your mind. Oh, don't need approval, you're the master of your life. Oh, baby, you don't gotta run, baby, you don't gotta hide. Oh, you got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. Baby, gonna light the night. Gonna shine the light. We're gonna be so bright. Gonna be so bright. Everybody wanna go to heaven, but ain't nobody ready to go just yet. Everybody wanna go to heaven, but ain't nobody ready to go just yet. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. Baby, gonna light the night. Gonna shine the light. We're gonna be so bright. Gonna feel it tonight. Leave all your worries and your troubles and your tears behind. Oh, take all that negativity, erase it from your mind. Oh, you got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got a whole lot of love to give. You got
Game 1 is done of the DreamHack Open featuring Fortnite, and it goes to the way of Daddy DFAVs. But it's still anyone's game. We have 5 games left to determine who is going to be the top winner of our grand finals here. It's the North American West competition. I'm your host, Kelly Link, and joining me, of course, we have Shia Wager and Bala TW. And unfortunately, we got to see the death right there of Epic Whale, one of the top players that we seem to be pretty consistent in all Fortnite competitions outside of even just DreamHack there. But first and foremost, Shio, how'd you feel that Game 1 went?
Too hype. It was too hype for a Game 1. It's supposed to ramp up, and we already started at 100. That is a problem.
Well, you forgot about 200. We start at 100 and we go all the way up to 200.
That's true.
Bala, obviously we're going to be talking about Daddy DFAVs, but is there another player there that really stood out to you in this Game 1?
There was definitely a couple. I think 40R Storm was the one for me. I mean, what he did on the side of zone, the third parties that he had at the beginning of the game, a lot for him to unpack. But a lot of people, basically, what Shio said, way too hype. This was, though, one of my favorite moments. He was fighting Knifer, who had the Shockwave launcher. And what he did, actually, we didn't quite see it just then, but he actually half-edited a wall so that Knifer, on his way down, the main way that players are actually connecting back down is placing walls all the way down. And if that's half edited, it's not going to work. So Knifer fell right down and had the shockwave back up, and DFaze was able to catch him and basically secure the game from that, but so aggressive even afterwards to go down and drop and end up with the victory royale.
Another player that definitely looked like they had a chance at taking the victory royale there, 40R Storm. Shio, how'd you think he performed in this game?
A 40R from all aspects of the game was playing Game 1 perfectly, just very safe. It was always going for a decision that he knew he could win. I mean, in endgame, he was playing pretty silent compared to everyone else all the way to the very end, accruing placement. So he's playing a more consistent play style. I think that's very important, especially for a 6-game format where everyone's sharing the same set lobbies. I think that 40R, no matter what happens, if he just keeps hitting top 15, top 10 like he is, we'll see him possibly in first place by the end of this.
Yeah, definitely see him consistently in top 10, top 15. But right now, we're going to look at the top 20 to see exactly how our players stand right now in the grand finals. But it's only one game. We have 5 to go, chat. Really, anyone can clinch out the first place spot. But for right now, it's going to the way of Favs. 40R Storm is going to be taking second place. We have, I don't know how to say this name.
Jack.
Jack.
What?
Jack.
Oh, what? Okay.
Backwards.
Yeah, sure. Turtle Tavern in 4th, we have Knifer in 5th, and then Epic Will in 6th, and of course a bunch of other names that you guys know, Avery, Aiden, Nitty, and a bunch of others.
Sometimes you need a mirror, calculator, translator to figure out what's going on, whose names are who on the leaderboard. One thing that's clear to me is that we have the top players all the way towards the top. Favs holding first, much deserved. Sometimes coming first in a lot of competitions, cups, but never really in a big grand final scenario, right? 40R Storm, I called it the consistency king. He might be there for a while. Jack, though, is a big threat because once this guy hits the top 5, he never leaves.
Whew, that is a top 20 that we're going to be looking at right now. And Shio, I know that you were mentioning it just a little bit ago that you wanted to talk about the rotations that we saw in game number 1. So let's actually pull up the drawing board right now and let you talk a little bit about some of the rotations that we saw in game number 1 and what you think is going to change going into game number 2.
For me, the most important thing actually for the season, I circled it once before, we'll get a little bit of deja vu, is Caddy Corner, but exactly what happens after you're done with Caddy. A bunch of people are rotating towards retail, late coming in also from Misty to Caddy, then retail. And then right here, we have huge fights with so many different POIs rotating in maybe for tags on these 2 mountains too. So this is a huge space in mid game that I feel like is utilized by too many players, and anyone rotating here is just in trouble.
I had a big point in this game, Kelly, about the dead side and how players were rotating around. We had that frenzy farm. A lot of it was covered in those second zones, and furthermore, even in the third. That's a bad one right there. But regardless, the dead side, however it might look on this map, covered and went around the side. It would have been on this backside here where you would expect it to be. But what ended up happening was a lot of people stayed in frenzy. You saw 40R Storm. You saw so many people basing up their Bucky. We had even Tautai. And the difficulty was rotating out of Frenzy Farm. There was a lot of congestion here, and then a lot of congestion, or a little bit of congestion down on this side. So the majority was on this half of the zone. And I think one weird thing is that this kind of made it weird because there was a lot of the best players up on Zate Mountain right around this area that I'm pointing at right now, because those guys were all coming up from the dead side that I talked about. Everybody on this side, all those really, really good players made it to that spot, but had to contest against the other half, which were really in unpredictable spaces. And like we saw in the beginning of that match, storm fights were happening. So I think that what we're seeing is a mix of very, very good players here on NA West, with a lot of people with inexperience in the grand finals, which ends up in this kind of powder keg in the end game.
So do you think we're going to see something different in game 2, or is it going to be the same powder keg situation?
Nope.
You want me to? I got this analogy. I got this, right? So first game, people were late for class. People were slacking. They were basically sitting in their bases. They were storm fighting. The rotations weren't fast enough. Yes, it was action packed. I feel like this time though, they want to be punctual. Game 2, I think, will be very different, and people will try to act on positions they can claim.
Interesting. Bala, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% correct. But I also think that the composure of this lobby, the makeup of it, the makeup of the class, if you will, is a bunch of students who might not have been here for all the year. They might have just been transposed in this class or something like that. Because again, that influence, sure, there might be people who change what they do, but it probably won't be enough to actually break through the barrier for everybody else to understand what is actually going on in the lobby.
Well, one of those players that definitely isn't someone that you just listed there is Epic Whale. Epic Whale has been doing so well, getting 3rd place all the way back in the World Cup back in 2019. And then the FNCS Chapter 2 Season 2, getting 6th place. He's gotten 4th place in the last DreamHack Open that we saw a month ago. And then during the qualifiers in the most recent FNCS, he's gotten 2nd place. So Shayo, tell me a little bit about Epic Whale. We did get to watch some of his gameplay in game number 1.
He is like the original fast rotating mastermind. Like, he is the reactionary player that everyone wants to be as fast as, and he makes the meta for like these very cheap, efficient rotations that everyone likes to copy and put in their arsenal. It's just, he's very creative in doing them. My fear is that like he gets pushed back a bit too much, game 1, game 2, game 3, and he can't actually hold on to his complete lead for the finals.
Ooh, well, it's going to be interesting to see how exactly Epic Whale does play out in game number 2. Chad, I know you're ready to get into the action, but we do have a quick break coming, so don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's going to be game number 2 of the grand finals.